Plato versus Aristotle, the greatest philosophical rivalry. Few intellectual relationships in history have shaped human thought as profoundly as the one between Plato and his most famous student, Aristotle. For nearly 20 years, Aristotle studied at Plato's school in Athens, the legendary Plato's Academy. Plato was already one of the greatest thinkers of the Greek world, a student of Socrates, and the author of works such as the Republic. Aristotle arrived at the academy as a young man hungry for knowledge. Plato quickly recognized his brilliance, and the two spent years exploring questions about truth, ethics, politics, science, and the nature of reality. Yet the most fascinating part of their story is that the student eventually disagreed with the master. Plato believed that the world we see around us is only a shadow of a deeper and more perfect reality. According to his famous theory of forms, the physical world is filled with imperfect copies of ideal truths that exist beyond space and time. For example, every beautiful object we see is only a reflection of the perfect idea of beauty itself. Every just law is only an imperfect attempt to imitate the perfect idea of justice. For Plato, true knowledge comes from understanding these eternal forms. Aristotle, however, saw things differently. He believed that knowledge begins with observation. Instead of looking beyond the physical world, Aristotle insisted that philosophers should study the world itself: plants, animals, human behavior, politics, and the laws of nature. While Plato looked toward abstract ideals, Aristotle focused on concrete reality. Plato asked, "What is the perfect form of justice?" Aristotle asked, "How do real societies actually function?" Plato imagined the ideal state ruled by philosopher kings. Aristotle analyzed different political systems to understand which ones worked best in practice. Plato searched for eternal truths beyond the physical world. Aristotle built the foundations of science by studying the natural world. In many ways, their philosophies represent two different ways of understanding reality. One seeks truth through abstract reasoning and ideals, the other seeks truth through observation and experience. And yet, despite their disagreements, Aristotle never rejected his teacher entirely. In fact, one of his most famous lines reveals the complexity of their relationship. "Plato is dear to me, but dearer still is truth." Together, Plato and Aristotle shaped the intellectual foundations of Western philosophy. Their debates influenced everything from politics and ethics to science and metaphysics. Even today, many of the greatest intellectual questions still echo their ancient disagreement. Should we understand the world through ideals or through experience? Perhaps the true power of their rivalry lies in the fact that both perspectives continue to guide how humanity searches for knowledge. That is a classic breakdown of the upward versus downward gaze of philosophy.